Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are back with Dr. Arlayn Castle. So excited to have her here and really so knowledgeable. And she's here as the owner of, well, her own company, Castle of Knowledge LLC. And yes, she's a divorce coach and compliance and professional leadership consultant. Let me have her introduce herself. Hi, how are you?
Jill, I'm doing great today. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Arlayn. I am a divorce coach, a life coach with the divorce coaching program. I'm also a compliance consultant and a professional leadership consultant. Jill and I will be talking mostly today about the coaching aspect of what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to talk about it. To start, what is seek a divorce coach, right? And when should someone seek one in particular?
Generally, a divorce coach is someone who helps hurting divorcees get through the emotional overwhelm of divorce, right? Choosing the right person, however, is the key to their success. So there are some divorce coaches who have successfully gotten through divorce and now they're kind of teaching others what they've done. But for ultimate success, I found that a divorce coach should also serve as a mentor as well as a coach. And this is kind of what I do. So as a life coach with the divorce coaching program, I have come full circle in that as you know, Jill, through our conversations, I was married for 10 years, divorced with 3 children, with the youngest one being 2 years old,
Hmm.
experienced the heartbreak, the disappointment, the shattered dreams, confusion, kind of felt devalued to some extent and so much more. And so I needed to know who I was.
Yeah.
I was a bit frightened because I felt alone in the process. So I went to counseling, which was great. And because I was a counselor myself, what I did was I just tried a few things and eventually developed a regimen to get me over a hump because there's this hump that you go through. You continue to think about why, you continue to think about those great times you had, and you continue to think about the bad times, and you really get stuck there, and it's hard to maneuver that. So when I came up with the regimen, it helped me to define my mindset. And my mindset was, how do I thrive from here? So one thing that we did, my former husband and I, though it was difficult and challenging, we had made a decision to focus on our children. And that was quite successful. That was very, very
Wow.
successful that we did that, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because we had our own challenges.
Yeah.
But as a result, I wrote a book about how to successfully co-parent once the relationship is severed. So 3 years later, I married my present husband, and we've been married for over 17 years, and I'm very happy. So as an individual who have come full circle, have strived and thrived, I live unapologetically now, right? So I share with my clients all of my experience. I provide them with tools. I hold their hand, walk them through the process step by step so that they can also have a transforming situation, transformed life. So just because you may need a divorce coach doesn't mean that you will seek one. But if you really, really want to move forward quicker, it could be the best option for you, to have someone to kind of walk you through the process. But you have to actually want the help. And there's been some instances where I've received a complimentary call from some potential clients, and there was pride involved. Well, I don't think I need this. I'll be okay. And I think that's fine. You will eventually be okay. Or they may be a little embarrassed, even though it's between them and I. They're embarrassed. So you really have to be vulnerable enough to say to yourself, this is what I need. This is what will
Yeah.
help me faster. So let me do it. So that mentorship is very, very important. And these are the reasons why someone would need a divorce coach.
Oh, interesting. Because you know what? I love when you could do it amicably, but sometimes people don't know the way. You need that guidance. You need someone to hold your hand. And wow.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. What are some things that do happen and can happen during divorce or separation that could be confusing and maybe hurting those?
Wow. Wow. There's so many things that can occur and so many things that do occur. So what a lot of my clients have experienced is that their former spouse tends to treat them in a very mean manner,
Hmm.
and they're like confused, like what happened? excuse me, they're confused. Sometimes they say very cruel things to them, kind of borderline verbally abusive. So the hurting divorcee just confused, like, what happened? When we were in love, we had a friendship, we had a relationship, and now you're a mean stranger. So they no longer see any inkling of love in their former spouse's eyes. And even their mere voice becomes irritating to them. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly why this happens, but it happens in so many instances. And I just want the individuals out there who's listened to know that this happens sometimes. So don't feel that you're
Yeah.
alone. Yeah, don't feel like
Alone.
you're alone.
Don't feel
Right,
obligated. Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
it's good to know
Another
you're not
thing,
alone. Go ahead. Go ahead.
right. Another thing that happens is sometimes the hurting divorcee wonders, well, did you forget that we were in love? So, for instance, kind of at some point during marriage, they were great friends, they were in love, they cuddled, they laughed together, maybe even cried together, depending on the circumstances. They shared innermost secrets and stories and plans and dreams, and it was their safe place. So after separation and divorce, they may feel devoid of any value because the former spouse moved on, sometimes moved on quickly, and then they leave the hurting divorcee thinking, well, what about me? And do you not care how I'm feeling or what I'm going through? That's also kind of normal, right? A lot of people go through that. And another thing I want to emphasize is that a lot of times the hurting divorcee find themselves very tearful or crying. And this is kind of just a normal part of the healing process. So at least you're going towards healing because their lives have been shattered and it's not the way that they planned it or envisioned it. So it becomes very confusing. And when they think about the memories, it's okay to hold on to those very good memories that were pleasant. But the bad ones, you just ditch those bad ones because they do not serve you. Um, Either way, you can't hold on to either one of them. You can experience them and then let it go. Experience the smiles and let it go. Because if you hold on to any of them, just really hold on to them, you're still gonna get stuck. You can get stuck in the happiness that was, or you're gonna get stuck in the meanness and the irritability and the negativism that is now. So all of these things are certain things that you, for the most part, to some extent, will go through and just understand that you're not alone. It's not just your situation. I don't even know why it gets this way. Jill, it's really interesting that you can be so in love with someone and for years just have a wonderful relationship. And then when separation and divorce happens, they just forget about you, or you feel that they forget about you because of their actions. What I want people to know is as they go through this, it's what a lot of people go through. So you just focus on yourself and you just focus on getting to your next step of healing.
Beautiful. Can you also at this time just remind us of how we can reach you, Dr. Arlen Castle, if you are just tuning in?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Arlayn Castle from A Castle of Knowledge LLC. You can reach me at castleofknowledge.com or workwithrarlayn.com, and that's work with DRARLAYN.com. And if you want to give us a call, that would be 818-276-6199.
Perfect. And let's talk a little bit about boundaries and setting boundaries and how you feel about that. Is that something that's important?
Yes. Setting boundaries after divorce or separation is very important. Absolutely. So as you are trying to heal, you have to be cognizant that sometimes your spouse may want to call at their leisure because it makes them feel good to hear your voice, right? They don't want to be with you, but it makes them feel good in their own way just to know, just to hear your voice. It's not a good thing if you're going through healing. And once you get off the phone, your memory goes to, oh, I wonder if this means they want me back. I wonder if we're not going to get closer. So sometimes your brain goes that way, or it can stifle and make you go backwards in your healing
Yeah.
process. Right. Sometimes we set boundaries and we ask someone to do something or not to do something. But what if they don't listen? Right.
Yeah.
So understand that to establish healthy boundaries, it is very important to focus on our own behavior because we cannot control the actions of others. So if you tell your spouse, for instance, do not come to my house without us agreeing on a time. Do not call me after 11 p.m. unless it's important. Well, you have to manage that. That means that if they come to your house without calling, then don't answer the door. And if they call you at 11, just to say, "Oh, I just was calling because I thought I saw you drive by the store that I was at." Well, that's not important. So then after 11, don't answer the call. If it's really that important, they will leave a message, right? And if they come to your house unannounced, do not answer. You have to kind of be cognizant that the only time the boundaries will work is if you enforce them. So there may be a time where your ex spouse or former spouse says, I need to come to your house to pick up something that I left. And so I would suggest come up with an agreeable time, day and time, and everything that they can possibly want that they own. Just have all that ready and have them get that in one trip, because coming back and forth can really, again, make you feel as if they just come in, they really want to see you. They're not really coming to get this thing. They're using it as an excuse. Your mind goes there.
Yeah.
Or if you're
Yeah.
healing, if you're in the healing process, then it can kind of take you backwards because you've seen them, and then your memories just goes back to the times when things were good. So set boundaries, and sooner
Boundaries.
or later, as long
Mm-hmm.
as you enforce them, they will learn to respect the boundaries that you've set.
Good one. It's so true. All right, so we got to do that. Now,
Yeah.
what about the whole memory thing around the house? There's a lot of pictures. There's a lot of memorabilia. How do you, yeah, navigate that?
It was interesting. So when I was going through divorce, in my bedroom, there was an armoire and there were pictures of us up there. I hadn't even really consciously realized it. And one night I was crying, just tears, but I was looking at the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, wait a minute, why? I could take these pictures down because I think it's triggering me. So take those pictures down. The pictures of your spouse, you and your spouse, former spouse, or you and your former spouse, take them off the walls, take them off the armoire, and put them away. If there's some pictures of your former spouse and your kids, you can leave a couple of those up. At least while you're healing, you can leave those up if you have smaller kids, especially, but take the other ones down. I'm not saying to throw them away. You don't have to throw them away. I put them in a box. The pictures are your history, so I would never ask you to throw them away. However, you don't want to continue to display them in your home because it's no longer your circumstance. Removing the pictures from display can help you as you work through your healing. Keeping them on display may bring you constant reminders of when, and depending on where you are in your healing process, it can make you very sad or even angry. So take them down. Just have a day that you say, okay, on this particular day, on Saturday, I'm gonna play some music to calm my mind. I'm gonna go around the house and take down all the pictures of my former spouse or my former spouse and I, and put them in a box and just put them away in storage, and keep one or two up of the former spouse and the children, only one or two, and put the other ones away. So what happens is, as you go through your healing, and once you heal, you can put those more pictures up of your former spouse and your children. Just no more of the two of you, because again, that's not, you're no longer married, you're no longer together.
Interesting. Well, you know what? Also, it's a hard thing. I could only imagine. And any other suggestions on how you can make that transition easier? Like you mentioned, take down some of the pictures, right? But maybe
Yeah.
what about putting picture of if there's, if it's the father of your children in their bedroom, maybe next to their bed or something more private for them. So, right? Because I
Absolutely.
mean, I can only imagine the poor kids. Mommy, why are you taking on the pictures? Where do the pictures go? So it's got to be a slow transition, right? Not to offend. Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. And I think that during the entire time, you should have conversations and
Yeah.
communications with your children,
Mm-hmm.
because your children are going to see you hurting. My children understood that I was hurting. I didn't explain all of the emotions, of course, but they knew I was hurting. And I did tell them, hey guys, I'm going to just keep a couple of pictures of you and your dad up. And they were like, okay, mommy. I think, but again, to your point, if it means putting it in their bedroom, but they're gonna want one in the living room though.
Yeah. Yeah.
and the other one's in your bedroom. But yeah, so the transition, you don't want to do anything that's abrupt, because again, that's going to be you feeling like you're
Mm-hmm.
a mean person. You're not doing this to be mean or anything like that. You're doing this to help yourself. You're putting yourself first. So that transition, or even ask the child, hey, where would you like to put this picture?
Yeah.
And as long as they don't say, put it right there in your room, then you have to explain why that cannot happen. But yes, absolutely. But I think the bottom line is your spouse, your former spouse, and you and your former spouse, because most of those pictures will be there's a hug, there's holding hands, there's memories entrenched in it, and you need to definitely put those away.
Now let's talk about pain, healing. How long normally does that stuff take?
And that's really a great question. So as you know, Jill, healing is not a linear process, right? It's not that it will take you 2 weeks to heal. It will take you 2 years to heal. Sometimes it takes uh, shorter time for others. It takes longer time for others. Sometimes it feels like you're trying, but you're moving so slow that you're not moving at all. However, if you truly, truly are working through the healing process, it takes so much patience, so much determination. And if you get the help of someone, of a divorce coach, it won't take you as long. And the reason is because, so I'm just going to speak for myself, right? Because as a divorce coach, what I do when we join my program, we actually have there's a process. There are modules that we kind of go through. We talk about everything. We talk about each emotion and what it means and what it does for you and how to circumvent it. And we have exercises and we have tools and we discuss and I hold your hand and we have one-on-one conversations. And what happens is I got to tell you this. So there
Mm-hmm.
is a client of mine who's in his fourth week of my 7 week program. And a couple of weeks ago, I was on Facebook, and I have Facebook ads, and on one of the ads, a lot of people have different comments, like, okay, I'm going to call you, or I don't need this, I'm fine. But he put this thing there, and he said, Dr. Arlayn, something like this. I'm going to try to remember it.
Sure.
He said, Dr. Arlayn is the bomb. She is the best counselor you can ever have. He said something like, she will take you through a process that results in you being calm, peaceful, and strengthened when you get to the other side. Love her. And I'm thinking, you're only in your fourth week.
Yeah.
And that was and so it feels good because he's already feeling this way. So it's not so much, Jill, that, oh, after 7 weeks, I'm gonna be transformed. After 7 weeks, you could be transformed and you will be on your way to transforming. And I will give you the tools that you will continue to utilize. And I'm telling you, for this person said it in 4 weeks, I thought, okay, thank you for saying that. So, and he didn't even tell me. The next time I spoke with him, he said nothing. And then we had our one-on-one. He said nothing. So I said, hey, I saw that you put a comment on Facebook. He was like, oh, yeah, it was absolutely true. And I thought what I liked about that, the the integrity, because it wasn't that he said, oh, Dr. Arlen, by the way, I put a comment there. He didn't say anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows that it really came from the heart. So anyway, let's go back. So there are many ups and downs when you are healing, and it can feel like forever. It can feel like I'm not going to heal. You do have to be patient. You have to understand that once you do heal, once you get there, you will gain so much wisdom as to what you want, what you don't want, what you thought you wanted, knowledge, and strength. It will make you so much more stronger. And so when you go to your next relationship, some things that you thought you wanted,
Yeah.
but they're not as important
No,
anymore,
you're gonna say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
You're gonna say yes.
Exactly.
And I think that wisdom is just so paramount. So it's just a matter of whether the person is willing to seek the proper divorce coach who can provide them with the tools they need to walk them step by step through the process for faster progress. I would suggest people. So what I do, I have people to call me. It's a complimentary call, and that during this call, it's about 45 minutes, depending on how long they talk. And then this is the time that we decide whether we're a great fit, because there's
Mm-hmm.
some calls I decide we're not a good fit, so we don't continue. We don't. I don't offer the program to them. And then there's sometimes it's a great fit. And to me, a great fit means I am speaking to the exact person that I help. I can help them 100%. And they are 100% committed to do the things that needs to be done. That's who I want to work with. No one else. So I would suggest for people who are going through this harshness and this emotional overwhelm to at least talk to a divorce coach, even if it's not me, talk to someone so that you can kind of catapult your healness and be able to live your life. You want to not be stuck there because 9 times out of 10, that person has gone
Mm-hmm.
on and even they even may even have someone else in their lives. They're not thinking about you or how you're doing, or how you're feeling, or if you're crying. They're not thinking about any of that. So you're over here suffering in silence and you can't it feels like you're in quicksand. You can't get to the next step. So let someone help you.
Mm. Yes. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, right? That's also an issue, but you got to let your guard down. You have to.
You have to, and don't be embarrassed. You don't have to tell your friends and family that you're seeking a divorce coach. It's nothing that's going to be on television. It's not televised. And when I speak about my clients, I never say names. So everything is confidential. But so what I tell people, if someone talks to me and said, okay, I don't think I need it at this time, I said, absolutely. I'll be here. If you don't need it right now, that's totally fine. And some people have come back and they've tried it on their own and see that it's taken so long, Jill. And they're like, okay, it's been like a year and a half. Well, that's a long time. It's been a year
Yeah.
and a half, and I still don't. I don't think this. I don't know if you can ever heal from this, and that's when I come in and say, you can absolutely heal from this. But if what you've been trying has not worked, that's when you try something else, right, Jill?
Mm-hmm. It's true. You have to. Let's do it. Let's try. Cause yeah. What is it? Not. It's that book. I think I can. No, I know I can. I know I can. We could do it. We got to have that mindset. Come on. We can make it happen.
We can make it happen, and don't be. And just listen. You only have one life to live. Why waste a year and a
Mhm.
half? That one person lived wasted. I'm gonna say wasted because to me it's wasted, but to them they
Yes.
were trying. They didn't know what to do, so they were trying different things and it didn't work. So let someone help you. At least try that. Because you can't come out on the other side and feeling totally transformed and really loving yourself in life again.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. And how can we
Yeah.
reach you if we'd love to have a consultation, start working with you?
Sure. So again, I'm Dr. Arlayn. You can go to workwithrarlayn.com. That's work with DRARLAYN.com. Or you can call us at 818-276-6199. If we don't answer, leave a message. We'll get back to you. We'll schedule a call and we'll see if we're a good fit.
Oh, I love it. And anything in closing today that you want to add?
I think I just would like to say that there was someone on a call recently who asked me, what does moving forward mean? So moving forward means a lot of things, but it also includes putting yourself first, taking one day at a time, spending time alone, being able to say no, set boundaries, forgiving yourself and others, and to ask for help.
Oh, thank you so much. And a good reminder to all of us. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arlen. And if someone does have a question, you offer initial consultation.
Yes, initial consultation is complimentary. And when you go to work with Dr. Arlen or you call us at that phone number, you can reach me and we'll have a conversation. It can be from 30 minutes to an hour. I'll let you express this yourself as much as you like. Then I'll tell you a little bit about me and what we can do together. And then we decide whether or not we want to work together.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you back and looking forward to the next time we connect. We appreciate you. And
Okay,
all of
thank you,
our
Shirley.
listeners, thank you. Stay tuned. More of the show is coming right up after the break.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.